What are you doing? Are you thinking? In the US, what can $100 a week buy you? A tiny bag of groceries, one tank of gas, and a minor shock when you see the electricity bill. But here where I just moved to, $100 covers a full week of 3 good meals a day, a balcony home, and free morning coffee with the sound of birds singing. I'm not joking. I'm living it. And living just fine. From someone who used to complain, why does money disappear faster than my hair grows? Now there's only one question left. Living like this, why would I ever go back to the US? In today's video, I'll reveal countries where you can live well on just $100 a week. No ads, no fluff, just hot meals and real smiles. If you also want your wallet to stop crying, hit like. Comment which country you'd like to try living in for a month. And don't forget to subscribe, because your new life begins right after that bell. Dream it. Pack it. Go. 5. Bangladesh, the enchanted land of rivers. I didn't come to Bangladesh because someone said it was cheap. I came because of a dream still unshaped. A dream of a place where time slows down, where nature isn't loud, but always has something to whisper. And then, I found Sylhet, a city tucked beside the Surma River, where sunsets aren't orange but rather a love song, sung by water and wind. I lived here for a month on just around $400. Month rent, 3 filling meals a day, and even extra to wander through the Lawachara forest or paddle across Ratargal swamp forest, where trees rise from the water as if nature were painting a fairy tale dream. Each day, I spent less than $5 on food, steaming hot biryani, fragrant grilled hilsa fish, soft pitha cakes, and sweet milk tea. I grew familiar with the small roadside eateries, where the owner remembered my name after 3 days and always added an extra spoon of milk to make it easier to drink. That feeling of being remembered by name in a foreign country made me realize one thing: you don't need to be rich to belong somewhere. I rented a small room with a balcony overlooking the boat dock. It cost just $130 a month, but what I got in return were peaceful mornings, where the first sunlight shimmered on the water like gold leaf. The room was simple, clean, and came with a kitchen just enough for me to try cooking Bengali curry, and to tell you about the time I set myself on fire with a seemingly harmless red chili. Just 1 spoonful, and it felt like I had inhaled a whole flame. I downed 3 glasses of lassi and sweat like I had just run a marathon. But right then, a group of students nearby saw me struggling, burst out laughing, and invited me over to their home. They taught me how to make borta, a humble mash dish full of love. They said, "In Bangladesh, everyone is your friend if you open your heart." The internet here is fast enough for me to call my mom. "Mom, you've got to see this monkey climbing trees like a ninja." I laughed as I video called her from the forest. The signal isn't always stable, but who needs YouTube when nature outside is already playing a live-action film every second of the day? Transportation is surprisingly cheap. A full rickshaw ride costs only $1, and sometimes the driver even sings to me. And I'd just sit there, amid the traffic, the honking, and the cries of street vendors, thinking I'm living, not just existing. I used the rest of my money to explore. Entry to the forest, renting boats, buying dried tea as gifts. Each experience cost only a few dollars, yet felt more valuable than any luxury brand I ever bought in the US. And then one day, it rained hard. Water rose to my ankles. I stood tucked under the eaves of a small temple when an old woman handed me an umbrella. No words, no expectations. Just a warm look enough to chase away the chill of being far from home. There are some things money can't buy, and I found them here. Healthcare in Sylhet is still quite basic, so I bought international insurance, about $80 a month. When I caught a cold, I went to a private clinic, clean, attentive doctor, and it only cost $25. I know if something more serious happened, I could fly to Thailand, but for healthy people seeking a simple life, this place is more than enough. Americans get a 30-day visa, extendable for another 30. Or you can do what I did, fly to Nepal every 2 months for a few days and come back. A bit inconvenient, sure. But you'll learn something important. Freedom sometimes requires patience to protect. You ask me, is Bangladesh safe? I say yes if you respect this place. I didn't wear overly revealing clothes, I learned a few Bengali phrases, and I always smiled at strangers. I was never scammed, never lost anything. On the contrary, I received more than I ever expected. And when I left, a little tea vendor by the river looked at me and said, "Come back, brother. We wait." I'm not sure if I'll return, but those words, they're still in my heart to this day. In the US, $400 is a steak dinner and an electric bill. Here, it's a whole month of living like a wandering prince in the land of rivers. The question is, are you using your money to live or just to survive? If you want to rediscover the true meaning of a new day, if you want to live in a place where nature speaks to you through the wind, the water, and genuine laughter, let your heart speak. Are you ready to live with less but live more? If so, comment everything that's on your mind. Tell me where I'm wrong. I'm grateful for that. And I'm happy to have you with me on this journey. 4. Philippines. A tropical paradise meant for hearts that know how to slow down. The gentle sound of waves. The smell of grilled fish drifting from a seaside shack. An elderly American man sitting under a palm tree, sipping coffee and smiling like a child. So, is truly living really this affordable? In the Philippines, a country of over 7,000 islands, where people laugh more than they complain, the answer might just be yes. If your current life feels like a never-ending loop, electric bills, water bills, sky-high rent, and that sinking feeling of my wallet hurts every time I open it, then Bacolod, known as the City of Smiles, will feel like a gentle hug. With just $100 a week, you can rent a tidy room near the sea, around $150, $180, eat modest but fulfilling meals, $80, $100, pay for utilities and internet, about $50, and still have a few extra dollars left for coconuts, weekend market strolls, or a boat trip to see coral reefs. It may sound like a fairy tale in a world where prices keep rising, but it's reality in places like Dumaguete, Iloilo, or even on Negros Island, where you don't have to live luxuriously. Just live meaningfully. In Dumaguete, John, a retiree from Oregon, originally came just to try it out for a month. 4 years later, he still hasn't left. I used to think living cheap meant living poorly. Turns out, living cheap here made me feel richer inside, he said, pointing at the hammock swaying between coconut trees behind his home. The Philippines isn't just affordable, it's generous to foreigners. The SRRV retirement visa program is one of the most welcoming in the world. As long as you're over 50, have $800 month in income, and deposit $10,000 in a Philippine bank, you'll receive a long-term visa. No risk of deportation. No need for constant visa runs, like in many other countries. And you know what's even better? Your US pension won't be taxed here. A place where the money you bring stays yours. But this paradise isn't just about numbers and policies. It's about people. You'll see neighbors singing karaoke in the afternoon, even if nobody hits the right note. You'll be invited to the birthday party of the elderly lady across the street, even if you only met her once at the vegetable stall. Filipinos are so warm-hearted, you'll stop feeling like a foreigner at all. In a culture where Christmas starts in September, where children dance the tinikling with bamboo poles while singing Mariah Carey songs, and where churches, markets, and bubble tea shops stand side by side in harmony, you'll never feel alone. And if you love nature, try sinking your feet into the sands of Boracay, so soft they feel like flour, with water clear as the eyes of a girl in love. Or swim with turtles in Palawan. Or hike the Banao rice terraces, where 1,000 years of culture still lingers in every stone step. You could spend a lifetime exploring here, and still not run out of wonders. However, even paradise comes at a price. The Philippines, though friendly and relaxed, still faces powerful typhoons every year. Parts of the country lie directly on the Pacific typhoon belt. Flooding, blackouts, and landslides can occur especially in regions like Luzon or Samar. That's why choosing the right area to live, like the Visayas or Mindoro, is something you should seriously consider if you want to avoid natural disasters. And what about the healthcare system? In Cebu or Manila, you'll find fluent English-speaking doctors in modern private hospitals at a fraction of US costs. A private consultation is about $20, and even minor surgery may only cost a few $100s. But if you're on a remote island far from the city, things can get, well, very Southeast Asia limited equipment, long travel to proper care, and sometimes your prescription might just be get some rest and say a prayer. Still, isn't life always a trade-off? You trade the chaos of the West for the peace of a seaside village. Trade months of stress for quiet evenings watching the sunset. You may not have everything, but you might finally have what matters most: time, freedom, and the feeling of enough. So what do you think? Would you dare to live in a place where $400 is enough to wake up smiling every morning? Would you step out of the whirlwind of consumerism to find yourself again on a quiet beach in Cebu? Or will you wait another 5-10 years and one day regret not trying? If you had only $100 in your pocket, where would you choose to live? Comment the country and the reason why. I'll respond to every single one. If this video helped you, smash that like button, Colorado MMEnt, the city you'd want to live in, and subscribe to Retirement Places so you don't miss the places that might just change your life. And if you've ever lived in the Philippines, tell us your story so those still hesitating can take that very first step. 3. Romania, the land of castles, as cheap as a fairy tale. I didn't come to Romania to meet vampires. I came for something even more mysterious than Dracula, a rumor that with just $400 a month, you could live among castles, pine forests, and hot soup without ever having to look at your wallet with pity. I arrived in Brasov, a charming old town nestled beneath the Carpathian Mountains, where sparrows sing above burnt orange rooftops, and every street corner feels like a page torn from an Andersen fairy tale. Do you know that feeling when you open your balcony door in the morning, take a deep breath, and realize, wow, I'm not dreaming, this is my real life? I do. And it started with the apartment I rented for just $180 a month. It wasn't a mansion, but it had old wooden floors that creaked like they were telling stories. It had sunlight pouring in every morning. And it had a tiny kitchen where I learned to cook siorba soup from an elderly neighbor who spoke only Romanian, yet inspired me like she was the Julia Child of the Balkans. The total cost of living in Brasov surprised me almost as much as the price of Starbucks in New York. Food? Around $120 a month if you're willing to fall in love with simple, delicious staples, crusty bread, local cheese, smoked sausages, and fragrant plum wine. I once bought 1 kilogram of grapes for just 80 cents. Unbelievable, right? I thought so too until I devoured the whole bunch by myself. Electricity, water, and internet combined only cost about $40, $50 per month. And the internet here? Smooth as Transylvanian cream. I could video call friends back in the US while listening to birdsong on my balcony. No, this isn't an ad. It's just that Romania never rushes. What about the last $50 in my $400 budget? I used it to hike into the forest, buy train tickets to visit Bran Castle, where Dracula once lived, or at least, that's what Hollywood believes, or sip coffee in the town square with the locals. Here, no one watches the clock. 1 cup of coffee can stretch into 3 hours. A conversation doesn't need language, just eye contact and a quiet nod. I'll never forget one time at the market. I saw an old man selling wild mushrooms. I asked, "How much?" He replied, 3 lei. I handed him 5. He shook his head and gave me back 2. If you live here, don't waste your money. He smiled. I just nodded, thinking maybe kindness still holds its value in this world. At least in Romania, it does. Healthcare? Romania isn't top tier globally, but private services in Brasov are quite decent. I had a full checkup for just $30, and medication was cheaper than a pizza in Chicago. Still, I signed up for international insurance, $90 to $100 per month, just for peace of mind if I ever need a bigger hospital in Bucharest. Visa? US citizens can stay here 90 days without a visa. After that, if you want to stay longer, and trust me, you will, you can apply for temporary residency if you have a stable income, $600 a month. Learn the language, volunteer, or even enroll in a cooking class. The Romanian government won't make it hard. They just want to know you're not the second coming of Dracula. What about politics? In 2025, Romania remains peaceful at the heart of the EU. People often grumble about a slow-moving government. But there are no major protests, no chaos like you see elsewhere. The streets are calm, the elderly stroll unhurriedly, children play soccer in the afternoon sun. Maybe true peace doesn't need to be declared out loud? And most importantly, the Romanian people. Not everyone beams with a wide smile. But when they do smile, it's as sincere as if you were a long-awaited guest. They patiently listen to your broken attempts at Bună Ziua, and sometimes even invite you home for dinner just because you knew the difference between chicken soup and vegetable soup. Romania isn't paradise, but it's a place where you don't need to be rich to live kindly, eat well, and breathe deeply without fear of tomorrow. You can come here with just a suitcase and a heart ready to start over. And you'll leave, or maybe never leave again, with a life that is gentle, simple, complete, and warm. If you've ever asked yourself, is there a place in this world meant for me not needing much money, just beating in sync with my heart? Then, yes, there is. Its name is Romania, and it's waiting for you. 2. Morocco, the romantic kingdom of the desert. Have you ever imagined yourself lost in an Arabian fairy tale, where golden sunlight pours over blue rooftops, market calls echo through ancient alleys, and sea winds whisper secrets 1,000 years old? I found that story in Morocco, a place where nature, culture, and human warmth blend into an endless love song. And the spot I chose to settle in? None other than Essaouira, a poetic seaside town where you can live like a sultan on the budget of a college freshman. Essaouira isn't the bustling Marrakech or the vibrant Casablanca. It's a gentle, quiet note on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean, where the waves hum day and night, and the white and blue walls feel like they stepped out of a Mediterranean dream. I still remember that first morning sunlight flooding my little apartment as I stood on the rooftop, gazing at the sea, nearly moved to tears by its beauty. The silence was so pure, I could hear my own heartbeat slowing down. With a total budget of just $400 to $500 per month, I rented a one-bedroom apartment in the Medina for only $350 a month with a balcony, the sound of waves, and a neighbor who sold bread and smiled like a mother. 3 full meals a day? Less than $150 a month. I survived on lamb tagine, vegetable couscous, and warm, fluffy loaves of bread. One morning, sipping mint tea at a street-side cafe, I asked myself, am I traveling or truly living? But I didn't come to Morocco just to lie in a hammock drinking tea. I came to live deeply, and that started with a legendary rug purchase. Determined to buy just one small Berber rug, I dove into the old souk. 2 hours later, I walked out with 2 rugs, a bag of spices, a piece of pottery, and a poetic farewell. May you always remember the scent of the desert. I laughed while checking my wallet. It was a little lighter, but my heart was absolutely full. Then one day, I decided to do something crazy, head out into the Sahara Desert. From Essaouira, I caught a ride to Merzouga, where golden sands stretch endlessly to the horizon, and the cold at night cuts straight through to your bones. I rode a camel, listening to its hooves crunch softly over the dunes, and felt like I was moving through time itself. When night fell, I lay inside a Berber tent, staring up at thousands of stars untouched by light pollution. A French girl in the tent next to mine whispered, "It feels like we're floating in the universe." I simply nodded because honestly, there were no words for what that felt like. Healthcare? I once caught a mild cold here, went to a private clinic, and for just $25, I got a checkup, medicine, and kind advice. The care was solid, and many doctors spoke French, even English. Of course, I still bought international insurance for peace of mind, just $100 a month in exchange for that invincible feeling. Morocco is also administratively easy to live in. Americans get 90 days visa-free and can apply for long-term residency by proving retirement income over $1,500 a month. I submitted my lease contract, bank statements, and a landlord reference letter, and within just 2 months, I had a 1-year carte de séjour, renewable annually. Culturally, I learned to greet with the right hand, to drink tea with 3 ceremonial pours, and to haggle not to be cheap, but to make friends through the language of negotiation. Moroccan people are gentle, love telling stories, and if you say shukran with a genuine smile, they'll treat you like family. Once, I was invited to a Berber wedding despite being just a passerby, and I danced the entire night, as if I had been born from the desert itself. Morocco is a place where you can live slowly, live deeply, and live beautifully without having to trade it for exhausting days spent just trying to get by. A land where you can sip mint tea every morning, watch the sunset every evening, and hear fairy tales each night told by the locals themselves. If you've ever dreamed of a place with little money but rich experiences, few worries but deep emotions, then this romantic desert kingdom is waiting for you. So what do you think? Would you dare to live under a sky full of stars, with a cup of mint tea in hand, and the laughter of strangers in the air, and become Moroccan at heart? If yes, comment Morocco. 1. Malaysia, where life is as smooth as milk tea. There's a place where $100 a week isn't a financial experiment, it's a ticket into a life as smooth as the frothy top of a glass of teh tarik. A place where the weather is neither too hot nor too cold, where people don't crowd into noisy streets, but instead gather in parks to do Zumba and sip coconut water. That place is Malaysia specifically, Penang, an island often mistaken as a tourist hub, but truly belonging to hearts that want peace and full wallets. In Penang, a furnished, air-conditioned apartment just minutes from the beach can be rented for around $160 to $220 a month. Wake up in the morning, step out onto the balcony and see clouds floating lazily over the hills, birds singing from the neighbor's garden, and the spicy aroma of stir-fried noodles wafting up from the street cart below, whispering, "Get up, eat breakfast, and watch life unfold." A meal out costs just $2.03. After eating, no one rushes to work. They duck into a Peranakan-style cafe to sip coffee and chat about the fruit that fell in the backyard. Life here doesn't hurry. From the bus driver to the watermelon vendor, everyone shares one trait: no one is in a rush. Maybe that's why more and more foreigners, especially retired Americans, are flocking here. They call Malaysia the place where time flows like honey, sweet, slow, and sticks to the heart. Healthcare, international quality, local prices. A full checkup costs only $25. Doctors speak English, and the hospitals are as spotless as a laboratory. Some even joke that living cheaply isn't enough here. You might as well get your teeth fixed, your eyes corrected, and your heart checked. Because if you did the same in the US, the bill might just make you need a new heart. Malaysia is generous to foreigners. 90 days visa-free. Want to stay longer? Just show proof of a retirement income of around $1,100 a month, and you can apply for the Malaysia My Second Home program. No need to buy property, no large fund contributions required. Just stability, and you'll be welcomed like someone familiar. Every evening in Penang, the sky blushes pink like a silk scarf stretched across the horizon. On the beach of Batu Ferringhi, people fly kites, play ukulele, sip milk tea, or do absolutely nothing. Because here, doing nothing is a respected activity. People live, not rush to survive. And the best part is, you don't need to be rich, you don't need to speak Malay, you don't even need to know how to eat durian. Just open your heart in your lunchbox, and someone will smile and ask, "Where are you from? How long are you staying? Want to try this dish?" This world is vast, but sometimes, happiness fits inside a bowl of laksa, a smile at the morning market, and a cool little home in the summer heat. If there's a place where your dollar is valued like the memories of your youth, that place is Malaysia. So what do you think? Would you dare to live 1 month on $400 in Malaysia? Comment below. You see, in Bangladesh, I live surrounded by lush nature on just $1 a day. In the Philippines, I ate grilled fish by the sea and never needed an alarm clock. In Morocco, I bargained for rugs, drank mint tea, and laughed more than I had in the past 10 years combined. And in Romania, I found peace behind ancient walls, where autumn glowed like a Van Gogh painting. And all of that cost just $100 a week. So I ask you, are you truly living? Or just paying to survive? How much money do you really need for a life worth living? Or do you just need to choose the right place to begin? If you've ever felt suffocated by prices in the US, then maybe it's time to take a deep breath somewhere else. Comment the country you'd like to try living in for a month. Hit like if you believe life shouldn't be so expensive that it makes you lose yourself. And don't forget to subscribe, because every video here is a ticket to a life worth dreaming about. Dream it. Pack it. Go. Life is lighter than you think, if you dare to begin.